So everyone's going to stay muted for the rest of class just so that we can listen to our own music, but feel free to turn your video on or off at any time if you'd like. And I'm going to start off by reading our Campus Rec waiver. So in order to make these classes as freely accessible as possible to our participants, we'll be using a verbal warning and assumption of risk at the beginning of the class. Participation in this online class is voluntary. Physical activity programs may result in injury, and by participating, you assume the risk of injury that may result from your participation. We strongly recommend that you participate from a space that is suitable for this activity. For example, make sure that you've moved nearby furniture and other potential hazards. If you're participating in a yoga class like this one, or a class that involves laying on the ground, we recommend using a mat, or if you don't have one, a carpeted area. Participants are encouraged to stop if they experience pain or injury and should seek appropriate medical advice or care as needed. William Murray Health and Wellness strongly recommends that each participant have an annual physical examination and follow the advice of your healthcare provider before participating. And that's going to be the only clinical part of this whole process. So if you're using a playlist, you can go ahead and click start on the top of it. If you're following along with mine, the link is in the chat. And we're going to go ahead and get started today. This is a Vinyasa flow class, so we're going to be moving, linking our breath to our movement. That's kind of the whole purpose. But this, along with every other class that I teach, is a place where I'm hoping you're putting yourself first by being here today. And so my words are suggestions. They're not mandates. I'd like you to go where your body would like to go. So with all of that in mind, we're going to start seated today in a position that's comfortable for you. So you can sit with your legs crossed, you can sit with your legs stretched out in front of you, wherever you'd like to be, wherever feels comfortable. Maybe your eyes find a soft close, or you look at something in front of you. And we're just going to begin the way we always begin, by bringing that awareness to our breath. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Just bring your attention to your breath this morning and just notice what it feels like. Maybe the breath feels pretty long this morning, or maybe it feels kind of short or shallow. You're breathing the way that your body wanted to breathe when you woke up this morning. So don't judge it, just notice it. Still without changing your breath, on your next inhale, I want you to let the spine grow tall, crown of the head reaches toward the ceiling. On your exhale, the shoulders come down and out from the ears. And the length in the spine stays there. In Vinyasa especially, we're going to focus on our breath to help us find movement, so that we're moving the body as it's ready and really trying to connect all of our thought process to it. But we also focus on our breath for the really important part of trying to get into the parasympathetic nervous system. We're trying to get into a place of rest and digest and calm. And we're going to do that by focusing on our breath. And it's okay if that feels a little weird at first, or even a little scary. I encourage you to just stick with it. Maybe as our breath naturally lengthens, as we pay attention to it, we move into a bit of an Ujjayi breath on our exhales. Ujjayi in Sanskrit means victorious. We also call this our wave breath, because you're just going to create at the back of your throat a slight restriction. So when you exhale, it sounds like your breath is a wave that crashes through the body. Imagine you're trying to fog up a mirror in front of you with your breath, but still just breathing in and out through your nose. That's how you get into this Ujjayi breath. The Ujjayi breath can be really helpful for actually hearing what the breath sounds like to the body. And I'm going to encourage you to stick with it throughout our class. We'll come back to it. So it's okay if it doesn't feel great yet. If you would like to set an intention for this morning's class, I'd invite you to do that now. An intention could be a mantra. It could be the reason you stepped onto your mat today or what you're looking to find in class. But it's where you're going to draw some of your energy from. So whatever that is for you, if you're setting one, take 3 deep inhales into it and 3 Ujjayi exhales to confirm it. If you're done with your 3 inhales and exhales, bringing the breath back towards natural, still sticking with that Ujjayi breath. Maybe you begin to make some small circles with the wrists, where you tap the fingertips to the thumb and bring them back again. Just preparing the body for movement today. Maybe you want to flicker the eyes open. And we're just going to inhale, float the chin over that right shoulder as if we were looking towards the right. Not shrugging the shoulder up to meet the chin. We're just trying to stretch the neck out a little bit today. Inhaling that nose back towards center. Ujjayi exhale here. Inhale, float the nose towards the left. Inhale the nose towards center. Ujjayi exhale here. Let's inhale, float the arms overhead. Exhale, let that right hand come down to the outside of the left thigh and just gently twist towards the left. The left hand will come down behind the body, kind of like a tent pole. I'm just trying to wake the body up really today. Inhale those arms back to center. Exhale, the left hand comes down to the outside of the right thigh. And even if the legs are spread out wide, you can still do this stretch this way. Inhale those arms back to center. Exhale them down to the sides. And then we're all going to move to bring the soles of our feet together in front of us on our mat in our Baddha Konasana or our bound angle. Also, I forgot to introduce you to my co-teacher. This is Soap. She'll be around for a little bit. She kind of digs yoga, so you may see her do a couple moves. Inhale to find that length in the spine first. Crown of the head reaches toward the ceiling. Shoulders come down and out from the ears. On your exhale, I really want the heart to guide the movement forward. So your heart is going to come out towards the toes, and we're going to honor that space between the chin and the chest as we gently fold and look towards the top of our mat. And I just want you to pause where your body wants to pause. And once you've found that place, maybe you inhale about halfway up and exhale down again, still honoring the space between the chin and the chest. Noticing if maybe the heart wants to sink about 1 millimeter closer to the toes. Doing this however many times feels comfortable to you. We're not gripping with the hands. They're just placed alongside the feet or in front of them. And then once you do find stillness, maybe you do begin to tuck the chin towards the chest and gently round that spine. And notice if that changes how you feel the stretch. Maybe it doesn't, and maybe it does. Both are okay. Inhale that gaze back up towards the toes. Exhale very gently up. We can slide our hands underneath our knees, guide them together. Bring the hands behind the body. Maybe we windshield wiper the knees out to the left, to the right. And then however's most comfortable for you to come to your tabletop position on your mat, that's where we're headed next. And you will know that you're in your very best tabletop position when your wrists are stacked right underneath your shoulders, your knees are stacked underneath your hips. If you take a peek through your legs, you shouldn't be able to see your feet, and we have a nice flat back. If the wrists are uncomfortable here, we can come down to the forearms and just replace the wrists with the elbows. It's the exact same thing. We still have that flat back. And we're just gonna wake the body up a little bit today with some cat and cows. So on our inhale, I want the belly button to come down towards the ground. The gaze lifts maybe just to the top of your mat at first. On your exhale, you're gonna push the ground away. It's like a string. It's pulling the belly button up towards the ceiling and the back rounds. Inhale, the belly button comes down, the gaze lifts, maybe the toes tuck. Exhale, flatten those feet if they've tucked and round that spine. I want you to take 4 more rounds of this at your own pace. Feeling free to exaggerate the movements as you'd like. You can roll out the hips or the shoulders. I might move this a little bit closer. Coming back to stillness whenever you're ready. If we're on our forearms, we're going to come back to our wrists. And at first, I just want you to flip that right palm so your fingertips face towards your knees along your mat, and just bring each fingertip to the thumb and back again. Shake that wrist out. Replace it on the mat. Do the same thing with the left hand. Flip the wrist, fingertips face towards the knees. Bring each fingertip to the thumb. Back again. Shake it out. Replace it on the mat and spread those fingertips wide. Really press into each of the fingertips, and especially that L in between the index finger and the thumb. That's going to help protect your wrist as we inhale to tuck the toes. Exhale, lift the body up and back to your first downward dog of class. Take the time here. Walk your dog out a little bit. Sink one heel towards the ground and then the other. It's okay if this doesn't feel particularly comfortable to the body yet. Brand new this morning. That's okay. Come back to stillness when you're ready. We're going to work on activating our core just a little bit this morning. So when we're ready, inhale, I want you to float that right leg high to the sky. We're going to take 3 rounds of cheetah here. So on your next exhale, I want you to pull forward towards the plank position. That right knee is going to come to hover by that right elbow. Exhale, back up. Inhale forward, that right knee comes to the center towards the nose. And push back up. And then inhale, that right knee is going to cross the body, come over to float by that left elbow, left arm. Exhale, back up. Float that right foot down to the ground. Maybe walk your dog. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side when you're ready. Float that left leg high to the sky. Inhale forward, that left elbow floats right next to that left knee. I know my anatomy. Float that foot back up. Inhale forward, that left knee comes to center. Exhale, back up. Last one, cross the body. That left knee crosses over towards that right wrist, right elbow. Float back up. And then float that left foot down to meet the right. Beautiful job. Inhale, the gaze comes forward. Exhale, I want you to roll forward into a plank position. Let's bring our knees to the ground. Untuck the toes, keeping the elbows as close to the body as we can. Lower all the way down until you can rest your forehead or your cheek on a mat. And I want you to drum the tops of your feet into the mat just a little bit. Make a little bit of noise this morning. And then coming back to stillness, press that exact same part of the foot into the mat. Feel the kneecaps lift. No weight in the fingertips. I want you to inhale up, float into your baby cobra. Exhale, relax the body back down. Same thing. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. Feel the kneecaps lift. Little bit of weight in the fingertips. You come up a little bit higher on your inhale. Exhale, back down. Now I want you to tent your fingertips wider than your mat onto the ground that's beside you. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. Feel the kneecaps lift, and then press up until your elbows are about 90 degrees. Maybe you dip one shoulder towards the ground and then the other. However many times you'd like, before coming back down to stillness. Relaxing the legs, relaxing the upper body. Hands come back underneath the shoulders. I want you to inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, press the body up and back to your downward dog. Beautiful. Inhale to gaze between the hands for me. Exhale, take a walk with as many steps possible to meet your feet and your hands in that forward fold at the top of your mat. We have a generous bend in our knees always when we're in our forward fold here. We're trying to get the heart as close to the thighs as we can. Maybe once we're here, we want to tiptoe the fingertips to the left and to the right. Maybe you grasp opposite elbows and sway the spine. You can shake your head no, nod it yes, very gently. All coming back to center, stillness, releasing those hands. I want you to inhale for a halfway lift first. Fingertips trace up the shins, pause around the knees, but there's no weight in them. And we have a nice flat tabletop back. Exhale all the way back down. This time, generous bend the knees. Inhale, those arms come wide. You're gonna scoop the air all the way up. Exhale, pull it down till we're in our Tadasana. Arms can come out to the sides. Beautiful. This mountain pose, you should feel unmovable. So I want you to build your foundation from the feet up. Maybe you take a little hop. You see where the feet like to land. Walk onto the toes, the heels, the sides of the feet for me. Our hips are stacked over top of our knees, over top of our ankles. Our shoulders on top of that. We have one solid line. Let me move this back just a little bit. Fabulous. And we're going to balance just a little bit today, but we're going to start with a little balance test. So I want you, if you feel comfortable, to bring your eyes to a close. Just close your eyes for me. You can bring your hands into heart center, or they can stay where they're at the side of the body. But on your mat, you're just going to inhale. Bring all of your weight to bear on that right foot until the left heel can peel off. Left toes are still on the mat. We're not locking out that right knee joint. I promise we're not moving too much here. We're just going to float. And when you're ready, I want you to use your core, brace it to help the body balance, and then float that left foot just a little bit off the ground. Flex through that left foot to help you find balance. If our eyes are closed, maybe we notice a bit of an extra challenge here, trying to keep stable. If you're wobbling, your body is working. That's what we love to see. Just float that foot back down towards the ground for me. Shake it out a little bit. We're doing the same thing on the other side. Simple little test of where your balance is at today. So I want you to bring your hands either to the side or right here to heart center. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Bring all of your weight to bear on that left foot. Let the right heel peel off. We're just on the toes. And then very gently, you're going to float that right foot off the ground. Flex through that right foot. Notice how the sides of the body can be different when you try to balance. Use your core to help keep the body upright. If you're wobbling, you're doing great. And float that foot back down towards the mat. Shake it out a little bit for me. Great job, everybody. All right, going towards the top of your mat. I want you to inhale, those arms come up, upward salute. Exhale with a nice flat back into that forward fold. Inhale for that halfway lift, offer that heart up. Exhale, back down. Generous bend the knees. Inhale, arms come all the way up again. Exhale, pull the hands down the midline. As you pull them down the midline, you feel the core brace, which in yoga includes the abs as well as the lower back. They all tighten to try to protect the body, keep that spine column tall. And very gently, we're going to begin to balance just a little bit. So I want you to find your drishti, your non-moving focal point in front of you. Gently peel the left heel off. We just did this. Eyes completely open this time with grace and ease. I just want you to step back into our lunge position. Beautiful. Let's bring the left knee to the ground. Untuck those left toes. Fabulous. Arms can stay here or can inhale overhead. Trying to keep those shoulders out of the ears. But take a peek. Your right knee is right over top or behind your ankle. And I just want you to breathe. Check in with the hips. We're trying not to roll too far into one or the other. They feel about square to the top of our mat. Beautiful. Focus on your breath to help you. If our arms are overhead, I want you to pop that balloon that we're holding over them. Pull the arms down the midline. Inhale to tuck the back toes. Exhale, gently straighten that back leg out into our floating lunge. Fantastic. And I just want you to breathe. Arms can stay here or arms can float overhead. That right knee still has not moved very far. It's over top of the ankle or behind it. And you're trying to find steadiness and stillness here in this position. Use your breath to do it. Three more breaths here. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. On your fourth exhale, I want you to pour those hands back down to frame that front foot, and you're gonna fly that right leg high to the sky, down to meet the left in your downward dog. Beautiful. Option to take a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Inhaling forward into your plank position. Exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. Inhale into whichever cobra worked for you, whichever one you liked best, made your body feel great. Exhale down whenever you're done. Inhale to tuck the toes. Exhale to press the body up and back to your downward dog. Inhale that gaze between the hands. Exhale, take a walk to meet them in the forward fold. Our vinyasa flows go with the force of your own breath. So I talk through them the way I breathe. I want you to go through them at your own breath pace. Inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you feel good. Exhale back down. Generous bend the knees. Inhale, those arms come wide. Scoop the air all the way up. Exhale, pull the hands down the midline. Feel the core brace. We're going to do the other side. Find your drishti, your non-moving focal point. Peel that right foot off till we're just on the toes. And with grace and ease, gently step it back to your lunge. And then let's bring the right knee to the ground. Untuck the right toes. Hands can float here, or can inhale overhead. Try and keep the shoulders down and out from the ears like we're holding a balloon or a beach ball overhead. And I just want you to breathe. Left knee over top of the ankle or behind. Both hips equally squared to the front of your mat. Everyone's doing great. Focus on your breath. On your next exhale, our hands are overhead. Pop that balloon, pull it down the midline, feel the core brace. Inhale to tuck the toes. Exhale, lift that back knee, float it off the mat. We're in our floating lunge. Arms can stay here or can inhale overhead. And I want you to find some stillness. Use your breath to do that. That front knee is exactly where it likes to be. The joints love to be in line. We're not going to change that for them today. 3 more breaths here. I know you can do it. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. If our arms are overhead, pull them down. Pour them around to frame that front foot. I want you to fly that left leg high to the sky, down to meet the right in your downward dog. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Go at your own pace. Inhale forward. Exhale either all the way down or halfway. Inhale up into your upward facing dog or your cobra. Exhale back to downward dog. And then I want you to bring both knees to the ground. Untuck the toes and the hips over the heels for a child's pose and rest. What a way to wake up the body. Check in with the breath here. If the heart is racing, focus on the breath to bring it back down. Also remind yourself the heart is racing because it's doing a little more work, and that's pretty cool. Come back to that Ujjayi breath. Always take water when you need to. And for those vinyasa flows, we have so many options. So you don't even have to take one. If you want to take one, you can do cat and cow, you can do a cobra, you can do upward facing dog, you can do child's pose. It's anything that sort of resets the energy. I think of it kind of like the chorus or the refrain in a song. It comes back again and again after we change a couple things, and it feels familiar and just kind of levels out our energy. So think of it that way and do what your body wants to do. When you're ready to build onto our flow just a little bit more, when your body really tells you it's ready, I just want you to inhale up to that tabletop position and take a couple rounds of cat and cow if you'd like. Remembering that we can exaggerate the movements as we'd like them. We can make them as small or as exaggerated. And you can always flip the breath cues. So if the breath is just not feeling great in your cat and cow today, try flipping it. So you would inhale into your angry kitty and exhale down into your cow. Notice if that feels better. Sometimes it does, and that's okay. When you're ready, on an inhale, you're going to tuck the toes. On an exhale, you're going to lift the hips up and back for downward dog. Option to take a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. If you want to flow together, let's inhale forward towards our plank. Knees can come down or knees can stay up. Exhale all the way down or halfway. Inhale up into your cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back to your downward dog when you're ready. Inhale to gaze between the hands. Ujjayi, exhale, walk or float to meet them at the top of your mat in your forward fold. Generous bend in the knees still, that's not going to change. Take the time. Maybe you walk the fingertips to the left, to the right, or you sway the spine. Or if the wrists are really uncomfortable, you can slide your hands underneath the feet and let the toes massage the wrist creases. If you're not a fan of feet, that's probably not the one for you. Coming back to center when you're ready. Inhale for that halfway lift, only if it makes you feel good. Exhale back down. A couple of options on how to stand up. If we have spine, neck, or back concerns, or we just don't want to roll, we're going to inhale those arms wide, scoop the air all the way up. If you'd like to roll the vertebrae up, you're going to tuck your chin in toward your chest, and on your inhale, you're just going to stack the vertebrae one at a time, as slowly as we can, coming all the way up. The chin is the last thing to come up to center, and we're in our Tadasana, where we're all going to meet. Beautiful. We're going to add on to our flow. So I want you to take another hop, see where your feet like to land. Maybe rock onto the toes, the heels. Build your foundation. Hips over ankles, shoulder over hips. One straight line. Fabulous. And I want you to look in front of you, and I want you to find that drishti, that non-moving focal point again. Connect with it. Arms can stay here, or they can float here at heart center, but you're very gently going to bring your weight to bear on that right foot and let the left heel peel off. And then that left knee is going to point out to the side, and we're going to bring that left heel to rest on the right ankle. This is tree pose. If you're here today, you're doing full expression, and it's beautiful. If you'd like to balance a little bit, maybe that foot floats right here to the calf. Maybe you help that foot come up to the inner thigh. Wherever your tree pose is today, it's not going to be right here in the middle. We're not going to press our foot against that knee joint. So find what works for you, whichever balance feels better. Arms can stay here at heart center or can grow overhead as if we were a tree with branches. We're using our core to find that stability. And we feel like a tree. We are really rooted into the ground through that right foot. It's okay if it's wobbling, but we're still rooted into the mat. Beautiful. I want you to find stillness here. Use your breath to do that. Use your focal point to do that. And when you're ready, I want you to pull those arms down the midline and embrace that core. And I want you to just float that left knee forward in front of us until it's in line with the hip. Flex that left foot. And just as we did earlier, with grace and ease, you're gonna step back into your lunge. It's okay if you wobble a little bit. Beautiful. Inhale those arms up, or they float right here at heart center. We've been here before. You know what it feels like. Settle into it. Maybe you see if you can sink the hips down a little bit closer to the earth without pushing that knee forward. Two more breaths here. Use that wave breath. On your third exhale, I want you to pivot that back foot so it becomes about parallel with the back of your mat and the arms come to float at shoulder height. We're coming to our warrior two. Flip both palms for me. Inhale to lengthen that front leg. Exhale back down. So pause for a moment here. Your right knee is still over top of your ankle and it's not tracking in towards the inside. It's back out where it belongs. Feet look like they could be bisecting each other. Arms are floating right here at the shoulders. Gaze over the front hand. Flip both palms again for me. Lengthen. Exhale. Now notice, we've moved our hips in a couple different directions. So from our tree position, we opened up and then we closed our hip to step back. And then we opened our hip up again to come to this warrior two. So the hip's been through a lot of range of motion today. Give it a little bit of love. Direct your breath there. Flip both palms one more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last progression, I want you to flip both palms so they're out to the side, facing towards the left. Inhale, you're gonna lengthen that front leg. We're not locking out the knee joint. Generous bend in it. And you're gonna reach forward like you're reaching to shake someone's hand. When you can't reach any further forward, you're gonna tilt and bring your hand towards the ground. Your hand can float here by the leg, here by the ankle, down to the ground. Palm can be flat. But we're trying to keep our shoulders nice and open here. So I suggest that you stay on the fingertips. Try to keep that heart open up to the left in our Trikonasana. Beautiful. Gaze can be up towards that left hand or down towards the right, whichever one feels better. And we're going to be here for 2 more breaths. On your third exhale, imagine that left hand is grabbing a rope overhead and you're using it to pull the body back up. Let go of that rope for me. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, sink back down to your warrior two. Cartwheel both palms to frame that front foot. And we're gonna fly that right leg high to the sky, down to the left. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. You know how to move with your breath. Go where you wanna go. I'm gonna take a couple rounds of cat and cow. And we're all gonna be in downward dog whenever we're ready. Absolutely no rush. Especially since we're all doing this in our own homes over Zoom, there really is no class pressure to do everything right at the same time. I kind of like it. Once we are in this downward dog again, I want you to inhale the gaze between the hands, exhale, walk or float to meet them at the top of your mat in that forward fold. You know exactly where we're headed on this side, no surprises. So if at any point you want to move faster or slower than I am, feel free. Inhale for that halfway lift if it makes you happy. Exhale back down. Again, we can inhale those arms wide, or we can inhale, tuck the chin, and roll the spine up, whichever one works best for you. Settle into your Tadasana, however you choose to get here. And build your foundation with the ground. Take that little hop. That's usually where your feet feel most stable. Rock onto the toes, the heels, the sides of the feet. Feel like you're screwing that left foot down to the ground. Roots are growing out of it and into the mat. Arms can float here or right here at heart center. When you're ready, inhale, that right heel comes off, that right knee points out to the side, and that right heel comes to rest on the left ankle. If you're here today, full tree expression, that's amazing. Maybe you want to float that foot off to the calf. Maybe that foot wants to come up towards the inner thigh. It's not going to rest on that knee joint. Not going to put any extra pressure there. Feel how the core keeps you stable. Maybe you grow those branches up. Maybe you sway in the breeze a little bit, but you feel how you're rooted into the ground below you through that left foot. Focus on your breath. Find some stillness. 2 more breaths. On your third exhale, I want you to pull those hands down the midline and feel your core brace even tighter, because that right knee is going to float back towards the front. You're going to flex through that right foot. It's floating right here by the hip. And with grace and ease, you're going to step it back to that high lunge. Beautiful. Inhale, float those arms overhead, or they stay right here at heart center. And I just want you to breathe. Remember the range of motion that we're taking our hips through today. So it's okay if they feel a little strange or they feel a little more pressure. That's okay. Send your breath there. The only time it's not okay is if it feels like pain. That always means we've pushed the body a little too far and we're going to back off. On your next exhale, I want you to pivot that back foot so it becomes about parallel to the back of your mat, and arms come to float right here at the shoulders. Float both palms for me. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale back down. And set yourself up for your warrior 2 success on this side. Back foot is about parallel at the back of the mat. That left knee is over top of the ankle and not tracking towards the inside. Our feet could be bisecting. Arms are right here at shoulder length. Flip both palms. Inhale up. Exhale back down. Find stillness and stability here. Notice what the hips feel like. Flip both palms. Inhale up. Exhale back down. Gently flash both palms out towards the right and lengthen that front leg. We're not looking at the knee joint. Generous bend. And then reach forward like you can't reach any further forward. And when you can't reach further forward, you're going to tilt into our Trikonasana. Arm can float right here. That is Trikonasana. Arm can be down here by the ankle on those fingertips. Also Trikonasana. We're trying to keep the heart open to the side. And I want you to notice what feels different on this side than it did on the last side. Maybe they feel about the same. That's pretty cool. Gaze can be down towards the left hand or up towards the right, whichever one works better for you. If you're wobbling, you're working. And I want you to be here for 2 more breath cycles. I know we can do this. On your third exhale, grab onto that imaginary rope with the right hand, pull the body back up. Exhale down. Inhale, just the arms up. Exhale, float back to that warrior 2. Flip both palms for me. Cartwheel those hands back down to frame the front foot. Pivot onto those right toes. Fly the left leg high to the sky. Down to meet the right. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. You can inhale forward to plank. Exhale down all the way halfway. Inhale up into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back. And then I want you to bring your knees to the ground. Untuck the toes. Keep the big toes together. Knees come wide. Sink the hips back for a wide-legged child's pose. And I want you to rest. Child's pose should be a rest. That's it. It should be a place where you get back in touch with your breath and your heart rate and your intention. Always take water when you need to. And I want you to focus on your breath. Come back to that intention if you set one. And come back to that Ujjayi breath. We have one more progression. One more way we're going to add onto our flow and change it. So when your body's ready, and not a second before, I want you to inhale up to that tabletop position. Set yourself up for success. Your wrists are underneath your shoulders. Your knees are underneath your hips. You can't see your feet if you take a peek through your legs. And take a couple rounds of cat and cow if it feels good to you. We can always come down to the forearms for our cats and cows. We're trying to slow the body down, even as we're going to build onto our flow one more time. We're going to move slowly and with our breath. And I know that we do that for all of class, but we're going to be really intentional about it now. Come back to your wrists if you're on your forearms for me. Inhale to tuck those toes. Exhale to lift the body up and back to your downward dog. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd love to take one. Inhaling forward, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling back to your downward dog. Inhale to gaze between the hands, exhale, walk or float to meet them at the top of your mat. If we float, we land with such soft joints that we can't hear it. Inhale for that halfway lift, offer that heart up in a nice tabletop back. Exhale back down. However you would like to come to standing, inhale up to get there. Exhale, pull those hands on the midline if we brought the arms up. Set yourself up in your tabletop. One of our last chances here. Take that little hop, see where your feet like to land. Root yourself into the ground. When you're ready, bring all of your weight to bear on that right foot, not looking at the knee joint. Left heel peels off. Left knee points out to the side. We're coming back to that tree. Maybe our foot is here. Maybe it floats right here at the calf. Maybe it comes up to that inner thigh. Not going to be on the inside of that knee. Wherever you're at, doing beautifully. Arms can float here at heart center. We can grow those branches. You can even bring your hands to a mudra or a hand expression here. So you can bring your index fingers and your thumb together. Or you can bring your ring fingers and your thumbs together. Or you can bring your pinkies and your thumbs together of opposite hands and create a lotus flower. Whatever works best for you. And I want you to come back to that focal point that we found. Feel yourself brace your core as you inhale, that knee comes back to float by the hip. Flex through that left foot. And almost like we did last time, we're going to be bringing that foot back behind us, except it's just going to kick into an imaginary wall as we pour forward into our warrior three. So the gaze comes steadily down in one line until it comes to about the top of your mat here. That foot is floating at about hip height. Arms can float here at heart center, or can be out to the side, behind us, in front of us, really whatever it is that you want to do. And I want you to find stillness here. You're doing beautifully. If you're wobbling, you're working. That's what we love to see. Flexing through both feet here. 2 more breaths. I know you can do it. On your third inhale, I want you to bring the body back up. Before we bring it back down, open back up to your tree. We've been here a lot today. Find restoration here. Root down through that right foot. Exhale. float that left foot down towards the ground and shake it out. Wonderful job. Shake that right foot out, that right ankle. It's done a lot of work for us today. We have one more side to go. No surprises. You know exactly where we're headed. If you want to take yourself there, feel free. Maybe take that little hop last time. Inhale onto the toes and the heels and the sides of the feet. Press into them, root into the ground. Inhale, that right heel comes off, right knee points out to the side and comes to rest on that left ankle. If we're here, we're in full tree. Maybe we want to float that foot off to the calf. Maybe it comes up to that inner thigh. Wherever it's at, find stillness. Lots of options with the hands. They can be right here at heart center. They can float overhead. They can be down towards the side. Whatever works best. And find stillness. Find grounding. Root into the ground. Two more breaths. And then feel your core brace as you float that right knee off so it's in line with the hip. Flex through that right foot. And almost like we're coming back to step into our lunge, we're just going to slow motion kick into a wall behind us and extend into our warrior three. Arms can be here at heart center or out to the side, behind us, in front of us, wherever. If you're wobbling, you're working. That left foot really pressing into the mat. Our last connection to the ground. And I want you to breathe. 3 more breaths. I know you can do it. Beautiful job. On your 4th inhale, I want you to bring that knee back up. Open up to your tree position one more time on this side. Whichever one works best. Foot on the ground, foot on the calf, foot on the inner thigh. Before you exhale that right foot down to the ground, and shake it out a little bit. Shake that left ankle out. Beautiful job. Come to the top of your mat if you're not already there. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale with a nice flat back to the earth. Generous bend in the knees. Inhale for that halfway lift. Our backs are so flat we can eat breakfast off of them. Exhale back down. Hands can tent on the mat. I want you to step back with the right foot and the left foot. Option for a vinyasa flow if you'd like to take one. Your last of class. Move with your breath. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale back. And we're all going to meet in a child's pose. Wide-legged or standard. Whichever one works best for you. Maybe the hands come back behind the body. Reach for the heels. Kind of like a little river pebble. We've rounded the back. And I just want you to release. Relax into the mat. Assure the breath and the heart rate that we really are going to calm them down now. Take a minute to identify the parts in the body that did the most work today. Maybe it's the hips and the ankles and the core. We have such strong cores. Find those places, celebrate them for a little bit. Direct your breath there. Come back to your intention if you set one. Notice what you might have learned about it, or if you feel like you've achieved something with it, or if you feel like you're still searching for something. All of it is okay. Class is not over yet. We might still get there together. And even if we don't, reflect on what that might mean. When your body is ready. Not a second before. I want you to inhale up to that tabletop position. If you'd like to take a few rounds of cat and cow, feel free. If you'd like to just come to seated on your mat, that's where we're all going to be headed next. I want you to plant your feet out on the mat and then let the left leg extend long, toes point up towards the ceiling. And then hug that right knee in towards the chest, find length in the spine. And then I want you to cross that foot over top of the left leg. Again, hug the right knee in, find that length. Right arm comes up, and then maybe it tent pulls back behind the body and we gently twist towards the right. And maybe that left elbow comes to the outside of that right thigh and it helps us deepen the twist, but we're trying not to press onto that knee joint really. Gaze can come over that right shoulder into our half Lord of the Fishes. Three more breaths here. On your fourth inhale, I want you to come back to center and then open up to the left. Gently counter that twist for the spine. Beautiful. Come back to center. Uncross the leg. Let the left leg come in. Right leg comes out. Hug the left leg in. Same thing on this side. You're going to cross that left foot over top of the right. Hug it in first. Find that length in the spine. We have nice tall backs. Left arm comes up and then comes back behind us as if we're tent pulling. And then open up to the left. Maybe that right elbow comes to help the body in its twist. But the twist is really coming from the belly button and not from the shoulders. And I know they both move at the same time, so that feels like a little strange to say. But I want you to focus on twisting the torso in the lower part, in the core, before you twist the upper body. Gaze can come over that left shoulder. Hand can be up or down, whatever works for you. And we're going to be here for 3 more breaths. On your fourth inhale, I want you to come back to center and counter that twist. Open up to the left, or to the right, excuse me. And then come back towards center again. Uncross that foot. We're going to plant both feet on the mat, but we might want to scoot up a little bit so we have enough room to lay back down behind us. We're going to plant both feet on the mat, and we're going to put our core to work just one more time. So inhale to find that length. Left arm comes out, right arm comes out, and for a count of 7, we're all going to lean back down behind us. So for 7, 6, 5, 4, pause. Breathe, smile maybe, maybe not. Continue for 3, 2, 1, all the way down to the mat. Inhale, hug those knees in. Maybe you draw big circles on the ceiling with your knees. You can rock side to side. Give your back a little massage here, however that works for you. Making sure that if you circle your knees, you also go the other direction. Coming back to center, back to stillness. Maybe you reach on the inside of the knees for the outside of the feet and you open up to your happy baby. Looking like we're stamping our feet on the ceiling. We can rock side to side here as well. We can guide the soles of our feet together in kind of a Supta Baddha Konasana like we started with. That can feel pretty good for the inner hips. Whatever you'd like to do here. Releasing those feet whenever you're ready, hugging the knees into the chest. I want you to flex the feet and just guide them down towards the ground. And then walking your feet in towards the body as close as you can get them, so we can almost brush our heels with our fingertips. I just want you to press into the feet and lift the hips off the ground, not off the body, into your bridge position. Hands can clasp underneath the body or can just be out to the side. We're gonna hold this for 3 breaths. Notice what it feels like to pull your knees closer together as opposed to let your knees splay further apart. One is more of an active workout. One is a way to lift the hips higher. Exhaling back down towards the ground whenever you're ready. Maybe you windshield wiper the hips with the knees to the left and to the right. And then if there are any final asanas you would like to take for your own practice today, feel free to explore those now. If you know how to guide yourself through them or you're working towards something, feel free to try that now. If you're ready for what is the most important and also secretly the hardest part of yoga class, our Shavasana, you're just gonna let your left leg extend long on your mat, your right leg extend long on your mat, toes come away from each other, hands come out to the side of the body, palms can face up to collect energy, can face down to find grounding. And I just want you to relax and sink into the mat. Eyes can close or can find a soft gaze on something on the ceiling. Find places of tension in the body and just relax them. Let them go. Gently beginning to bring some awareness back to the body. Wiggling the fingers and the toes. Making small circles with the wrists and the ankles. When you're ready, inhaling those arms overhead, pointing the toes, taking a full body stretch like you're just getting out of bed for the first time today. Very gently rolling to your right side, using your bicep as a cushion for your head. Maybe the knees hug in a little bit closer to the body. For the last time all together, we're going to reflect on those intentions we might have set. Letting them go if they no longer serve us, holding them in if we wish to carry them with us. And then spreading the fingertips on your left hand wide, really feeling the connection between each fingertip and the ground in front of you. On an exhale, I want you to press into that palm to come back to seated at the top of your mat, where we're going to end class all together. Once we're here, let's inhale those arms overhead, palms to touch. We'll exhale and pull them down the midline, pausing at the forehead. May we think kind thoughts. Pausing at the lips, may we speak kind words. And pausing finally at the heart, may we have kind intentions for ourselves and for those around us. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice with me this morning. May you all be happy, may you be safe and healthy. May you walk this earth with peace and at ease, and may you find the space to help others and yourself along the way. Namaste, yogis. All right, I'm going to stop the recording